So I'm gonna walk through some of this stuff pretty quickly. What I really wanted to do is I'm just gonna boot up. I think the Thinkorswim has a paper trading one, so I just reset everything to default. And we'll go through pretty much exactly how I set my Thinkorswim up. You guys don't have to do it this way, obviously, but at least you'll learn a lot of the customization that is really important to trading. A couple guys were asking for some specific stuff, so we're going to go through quite a bit. I think in general there's a couple different versions of Thinkorswim, and by far the most useful version is just the desktop application. I think the easiest way, mobile apps are good, but for putting on trades, especially if you have multiple leg strategies, things like that, it's always best to do it in the actual desktop application, not the mobile app, not the web version or the light version. And then once you put it in on the desktop application, you can manage it mobile or through the web UI. It's a little bit different, but at least entering the initial positions, definitely want to stick to the actual desktop app. But I think when I first started trading, I went through Robinhood, I went through Webull, all the apps, and everybody was like, well, you got to use Thinkorswim. And I'm like, oh, okay, cool. And it was like, wow, once I opened it up, I'm like, this thing is all over the place. There's, supposed to be like the most powerful application for trading, but like all other, quote unquote powerful applications, it's quite a bit to learn and even more difficult to get used to. Is that we'll walk through how I set it up, start with an out of the box version, and I'll go through some of the tools that I use. But if you guys have any questions while I'm going through some of the stuff, put them up in the Q&A box, and then I'll get to them as we're going through some of those sections. I think here's the first part. So initially, we're going to go through navigation. There's a lot of stuff in here. I'm going to show you guys some of the most important things. We don't have time to cover everything. There's a ton of information. There's actually a lot of useful tools that not a lot of people know of, and definitely don't know how to use them pretty well, like symbol links and things like that. And then I'll also hit some of the really irritating defaults and how to change them and how to read some of the things that they have available for you guys. The next part, then we'll go through customizing, and we'll do it specifically for options. So as we go through the initial setup and navigation part, we'll do some specific customizations and walkthroughs on the option chains, the analyzing tabs, advanced orders, and some pretty basic orders too, but just so that everybody has an idea of how to get through all of that. Do you guys have any questions so far? So first thing, this is how it shows up. You can toggle pay for money. If your desktop, it's a really heavy application. So there's actually a little settings bar that I clicked, and you can change the memory usage. So I just go to default, whatever the maximum is, but that's right here. This gear setting, if you're having an issue. Yeah, if you ever get a lot of errors, say okay, error, we want to restart, you can change your memory allocation. But this is really what it looks like starting out. And really, this doesn't give you a whole lot of information. It's kind of like the retail view. Setting this up initially, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm not going to use this at all as my home screen. I do have a couple orders from our option trades that we did, so we'll walk through how to change those. But you have the monitor tab, the trade tab, analyze tab. So here's the tab section right here. So that's probably the most important part. So the monitor tab is where all of your positions are. We'll walk through how to group these and things like that. This is usually what my homepage is here. On the left hand, there's a little, this is called Sidebar, and we'll go through customizing this. But I think the first things first, so I go into setup out of the gate into application settings, and there's a couple really weird settings. So there's a system setting here. So quote speed, it's for whatever reason, it's set as a delayed speed. So you want to change that right away to real time. And then so let's go. I'll walk through. So account, you'll want to have, if you have multiple, just get it to all orders, single orders only. Cool. This is for your monitor tab. and look and feel. So this is where you, if you want to change, I think this is the default. Yeah, and I just have this. You can't really change a whole lot. Old school is a little funky, kind of gross. And then whatever your system shows, like if you have 4K, you could probably go smaller. The first big change is this in calculations. There's a display method. That's too funny. So in the real application, I might just jump out of this, but in the actual application, there should be a drop down under general calculations. Let me see if it's system. That's interesting. Sorry. So in the actual application, not the paper trade, this is where the P&L calculation is, and it should have an option. You know what? I might just want to. Well, anyways, so there'll be an option to do two different types of methods. So there's the calculation based on your cost basis and on your execution price. So you want to actually do the cost basis, because the execution price, when it shows up in your monitor tab, it doesn't factor commissions and things like that. And another one, so there's order defaults. So stocks, if you ever notice, if you want to buy a stock, the basic default is 100. If you don't want to do 100, you can change this to, let's say, I don't know, you could change it to 1, and then quantity increments 1. Option default actually is 10, so you want to make sure that that's changed to 1. You don't want to put a maximum here unless you want to put like a throttle on yourself. Default order, always limit. We can go into this when we get into order executions, but that's pretty much that. Hotkeys, if you want to know, they're right here. But for right now, that's really all we want to do. On the left, so this is actually a pretty cool setup for the sidebar. And so I'll do things like they have like Trader TV. You want to watch CNBC, then it'll start playing here for you, or their own little trader network. It's kind of cool. You can move these around, detach them, but there is let's see. In the paper trade, this just doesn't have a whole lot. There's something called Trade Flash. In the actual, let's see, here you go. Trader TV, Minesweeper. Well, there's an option called Trade Flash that you can add in here that I definitely have, and it's where it puts out any sweep orders and things like that go through. Any large orders, it'll pop up as a little alert in the Trade Flash box. Second one is watch lists. There's a bunch of different watch lists that you could use, or you can kind of create your own. Easy one is like top 10%, gainers, losers, analysts, downgrades, upgrades. You can kind of just scroll through this when you come in, or if you have account positions, things like that. Quick chart, I have this up here, and I use this a lot, so we'll go through it. Level 2 is where you actually see, who's buying and selling, but you can change all that through this little gear. If you just want to add something, here's all the options. Trade Flash is one that I use quite a bit, and Quick Chart. I don't really use the watch list so much. I have TradingView for that, and live news. So let's say if you wanted to I want to check up on AMD earnings, you can just see, okay, well, here is all the stuff on AMD earnings, and a little box will pop up, and you can see, okay, well, how did they do? And here's all the, do we have something? There you go. So you just click through, see did they beat, did they miss, how was their guidance, kind of go through all that. That's the basic stuff. So that's the monitor tab in the sidebar. Some of the other stuff, this is the trade tab, which we all kind of know. We'll go through analyzer. In the market watch section, there's two things. So this is the market watch tab, and they have like a visual. This is set on visualize. So under each tab, there's little sub tabs. So let's say market watch. If this is the default view, well, there's actually a whole nother view that's pretty useful. So like if you want to see, I don't know, let's see, when does FedEx report? Well, not here. Or is there AMD? Okay, so cool. So AMD reports, it would show up here. If you're looking for a certain stock that you own, you can just throw it in there and it'll pop up whatever the events are. So let's say if you own a stock and you want to know when's the dividend. Well, the dividend is not announced yet on this one. Or earnings. So that's market watch, right? All you can do, this is the visualize heat map. These are the only two sub tabs that I'll ever really use. Even visualizer is not that much, but if you want to search something, when's their earnings, this is actually really cool tool, this calendar. So charts, actually, what is on here? So I'm trying to put it back to normal. 5 days. So there's lots of stuff. I'm trying to put this back. Cool. So this is what the default chart setting is. You can do different, these are all little tabs, but there you can have multiple charts up at once. So if I wanted to watch, say 8 charts, I can do boom, 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 8 right here. Typically, I'll just do 1. But on this sidebar here, this is actually pretty important. You can do time and sales. This will actually have a list, like a running log of all the orders that are going through for the stock. And I'll usually filter by, I only want to see any orders greater than 500. So that'll let me see, okay, is there a big block order coming through or not? This trade button right here, this is just like, together these two things are the same thing as active trader, but you can change this to whatever quantity, auto send, and you can just kind of, it'll actually pop up. All right, well, if I want to do an order, it'll show a little line. Okay, this is your order on the graph. Your buy order was down here, etc. Tools, I don't use the tools a whole lot. Education has a lot of good videos if you wanted to go through and take some of their quick courses. But for the most part, that's it. So monitor tab right here, this is pretty much where you live every day when you come in, and we'll walk through setting that up. Trade tab, we'll go through this. This is to actually trade, you know, if I want to buy something, sell something, or go into the actual option chain. And then analyzer. So this is, if I want to do AMD, wow, this paper trade account, I'll use the real one next time. But there's usually another box right here that says earnings inside the analyze tab, where you can actually pull up what their last 8 earnings were. And it goes through a pretty in-depth like analysis of what's happened the last few quarters. Here, so I'll just walk through. This is the first customizations. What do I have? I had some NVIDIA shares in this paper trade account that I guess I forgot about, and I just threw a handful of our trades on from today at market at close, just so we had something here. But see how these are grouped right now. The first thing over here, see these 3 bars on the top right, there's different groups. So there you go. This is the basic. this is how it comes, and everything's just kind of like bunched together. You really don't know what's going on. So if you go to new layout and then click on this show groups, if you have multiple accounts, let's say this has 2 different accounts, you want to have this drop down to all, and then it'll show you what your different accounts are. And then in this section, group symbols by, you actually want to click this spreads button. So this is pretty cool. So in the spreads button, then you can actually have all of your orders set by what kind of trade they are. Usually I'll just check this stock one, and by default that separates all of my stock positions and the option positions. I think if you want to change, let's say, I just have a calendar. So see how like there's one calendar, we just had that separated. So now there's your calendars. If you have debit spread, you can change it there. But this is a pretty cool tool right here. Cool. So that's just grouping, pretty important in terms of managing. I don't want calendars here, but I will change this back to how I have it. So I just have stock. So all my stock get grouped into it'll show a different line. I tried to buy one in this paper account, but did not work. So this is just going to show you quantity, days, trade price, mark, all the basic stuff. They'll have little things here. This is, okay, when do they have earnings? What's expected? When's the call? But it doesn't really give you a whole lot in terms of managing. I think it says, okay, well, what's your P&L open for right now? That doesn't really matter a whole lot to me. So I click on this little gear icon, and this is how you customize your monitor tab. So first thing on the monitor tab, I think we want to do, I always want to put delta here, not option delta, but just delta, and then theta, quantity days, and you can see, okay, so this is what you bought it for, what it's currently trading for, has it changed up or down, delta. That's actually enough. So what's this going to do? So this is actually going to tell you your position delta. If you expand this, each individual option or whatever you have has an individual delta. But as a whole, this subtotal here is now going to, if I add up all of my option positions, this is going to tell me I have a plus 58 delta and I'm getting paid $135 a day, since this is a positive theta, in the account for whatever the positions are that I have open. If this was a negative theta, then it would show negative. And then if I wanted to go in by actual position, it'll have this here. I think I do want to open an actual, I'm going to open my account, guys. This is kind of really funky. This is how I had it set. So everything gets set. Okay, all your stock for all your different accounts. This is a lot, right? So this is why I have it separated. And then each, okay, so this account has a positive 640 theta. This one has a negative, 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 positive. But net overall, we have, okay, I have a positive 29 theta on the account with a positive 58 delta on the account. And then you could say, okay, net liquid. So I have, you're sitting on 107, whatever this amount of stock is, and then how many, what your option positions are on each account. Back and forth. Now that we just got the refresher, we'll set this new account up just like that. Cool. Delta, theta, and I was missing net liquid. So go into the gears, net liquid here. There you go. Now I feel better. So this tells you how much you actually have invested. So the stocks will be grouped separately through these groupings. Keep that check on the accounts if you have multiple accounts. I don't know if you guys saw the other account that I just pulled up, but there was like, I don't know, 7 different accounts that I have linked. So you can't really manage that many things in any other platform. That's if you're using IRAs, Roths, brokerage accounts, trust funds, it's This is probably the only platform that you can use to manage all of that together. So, okay, so this is all the basic stuff. Quantity is good. Days to expiration, if you want, is fine. Trade price, this is your cost. This is what it's selling for right now. This is if it's changed. Delta theta, net liquid, super important. So you want to add that. And then I also like to add P&L percent, right? So this is going to show me, okay, on this position, what is my P&L percent? So we've added delta, theta, net liquid, P&L percentage. And so, and then they'll have a subtotal of by account, and they'll also have your overall subtotal if you have a bunch of accounts. Unfortunately, there's not really a way to make this green or red. I'd really like that, but that is such a pain in the butt. Somebody's asking here. If you want, you can do, so basically, I mean, this gear box right here, there's so many different options. I mean, look at this. You can add an insane amount of stuff on here. It can get pretty overwhelming. You can tinker with them to see what's important, what's not. Sometimes I'll throw like implied volatility on there here. And that just shows you, okay, how volatile is this right now? Are my options overpriced or underpriced? But for the most part, take a screenshot, whatever you need to do, but always have delta, theta, your net liquid, P&L percent is optional, P&L open, P&L day. So open is like if I've had this open for multiple days, that's my total P&L. And then this is what you've made or lost on the day itself. So without having this net liquid, I don't know why it's not default, but without having this net liquid, you really don't even know how much you have exposed at any given time. So they should have that, they just don't. And then these are definitely need to have. Do you guys have any other questions on the monitor tab before I move over? So we went over how to group them and setting up different columns in the monitor tab. So this is as clean as I have it. Just a couple, I don't put a whole lot of extra stuff in here. And this is it, really, just right here on the monitor tab. All right, so I'm gonna move on to, so let's say we have some trades on. I've come in for the day. This is what my monitor tab looks like. I'll check on any positions. If anything's going, let's say I can quickly see, well, if this position's turned into negative theta, then I should probably close it out, right? Or if I'm losing money on a stock, then I should probably do something with that. You can actually close your orders inside the monitor tab. So let's say if we wanted to close this, you would click on one and then you hold the control key down, click on the other. Let's say if you wanted to close them together, right click, and then boom, I can close. It's actually giving me options. I can close them now. I can analyze the closing tab. Don't worry about this create rolling order or anything like that. If I want to, let's say, leg out of something from the monitor tab, I can see, okay, so let's say this position is getting a little weird. I want to do something with it, and maybe I just want to close one leg. So I can just right click, close one leg, right? And then it'll take you to the order box right away, which was the trade tab. Cool. So that's how you close things in the monitor tab if you need to. But so let's say we're going in the trade tab, and the first thing that pops up, this is the option chain. This is default, but I do want to go through a couple things. There's first box, underline. If I want to buy or sell, ask is to buy. So you would just click. We changed our default to 1. This is stock. Or if I want to sell, click bid. Now I'm selling. That's the underline. So I'm going to skip trade grid. Super. I don't really ever use this. This is level 2 where you can see what people are bidding in other exchanges. We'll skip through the option chain. But this option statistics, I did want to go over really quick. So this is actually a really cool drop down. It tells you, okay, how many calls were purchased or traded today, how many puts were traded today, and what the total volume is. Traded on the bid or below is actually pretty important. So remember, ask was to buy, bid was to sell. So you can see, okay, at the bid or below, which means are they selling? 37% of the calls that were traded, you can actually see, okay, well, these were actually sold. At the ask or above, let's say 34% were bought, and the rest were at market. And you can see, okay, what kind of delta? So this is, do I want to look for specific type of deltas? This will just tell me, okay, so 29% of the calls were traded at a low delta, but the majority of them were right around just out of the money, 33%, 20 to 40 delta. And you can do the same kind of thing over here with the puts. This sizzle index, I didn't know what this was for the longest time. All this means, this is a ratio from open interest to volume, but we'll go through that. This will tell you what your volatility percentile is currently versus historic and today. So that's that one. Time and sales. Oh, great. So normally if you go into time and sales, you can actually see all of the recent trades. And I actually use this quite a bit. This paper trading account, no bueno. But you can see, okay, what were the top 10 most traded options? And this would actually pop up right here. If I want to do something, oh, this is does not tell you much at all. This product depth would actually show you by expiration what options have the most volatility and what the skew looks like on each of them. But so I'm just going to jump into the option chain really quick. So I think everybody here more or less knows this is where the implied volatility of the specific chain is. So of this, I say chain, this is this expiration contract series, what the series is. So April 30th series has the highest volatility shown up here. If you wanted to pop this out and trade multiple things, let's say I wanted to trade Tesla too, I could actually click this little detach widget and it'll pop out right here. Cool. So you can trade multiples. So this is the default view on the actual option chain, and this is a whole lot of nothing really. Some people on the app, by the way, there's this box right here that says, okay, what kind of trade do I want to do? I don't ever have it on anything other than single. Like you could do calendars and it just auto populates all this stuff for you. It's, or what is there? Vertical, that's a debit spread, kind of auto populate stuff. I don't have any of that on. Just put on single and that's fine. No filter or anything like that. But this is where you do want to customize it. So last, net change, that's what the typical view is. Bid price, ask price, last price. Net change doesn't actually matter. So we'll actually change that, but I'm just going to straight customize here. And so one of the things I do add, I add this bid. So I just bid size, click add, ask size, add. Net change, it doesn't matter what it cost yesterday. It just, like the saying, it doesn't matter what a stock used to cost. It only matters where it's going. So it doesn't matter what the option used to cost. It only matters where it's going. This is the first thing that I do, but just to show you. So we had the bid and the ask prices. This is pretty cool. It shows me all that level 2 data right here on the chain itself. So this tells me, okay, well, there's actually 85 orders on the ask. So 85 people are trying to buy this. Right now it's after hours. So this is a resting order. So 85 resting orders here. It just tells me right away, are they buying or are they selling right inside the chain? So I always have that one on there. Some people, if you don't use it, you don't have to have it. But I think the next one's pretty basic. Delta, theta, delta, theta, and volume, VOL, open interest. So we'll go through delta, theta, volume, open interest. So now this is a little bit better. This last, actually, I want to move this last one. So last, I want to move down. Open interest, we can kind of move it up. Cool. And you can just organize it this way. So now it's a little bit better, getting there. So volume, open interest, we added delta, we added theta. So delta, we can kind of go back, but we know what delta is. We want to see that. And I always have them right next to each other just so I can say, you never want to buy something. Let's say I never want to buy a contract that has a 15 delta and a negative 15 theta. Like, you'll never make any money here, no matter what. But just have them there. So volume is super important. This just tells you how many contracts were traded on the day, today. It doesn't tell you if they were bought or if they were sold. It just tells you how many were traded. Open interest tells you how many were traded the day before and not closed. So this is telling me, okay, well, 43,000 positions on this contract, this 90 strike for April 30th, were opened yesterday. As of yesterday, there were 43,000 existing positions yesterday. Today, 57,000 new positions were added on this strike. So that's where I would actually normally go into this time and say, oh, hello. Now it's working. Maybe it just needed to wake up a little bit. That's where I would go into this and be like, oh, okay. So May 7th, 90s. That was pretty busy today. 155. See how useful this is? It just helps me pick everything. What are they buying? So 12,000 contracts were traded May 7th, 90 contract. Well, that's a lot. This was one order. One order went through for 12,500, which was almost half of the volume today. Then I can see, okay, April 30th, 93s. You can go through and see all this. I think the default is like 2, just shows you the top 2. That's great, but I'll always just kind of go through 10. This helps you kind of pick out your strikes. So you can say, okay, well, this is interesting. Maybe I want to check that out. What is the skew on this? Is there, it's 40 delta, negative 10 theta. Maybe I want to check it out. Maybe I want to buy it, maybe not. But you can kind of go through and walk, see what you can build around these active strikes. You always want to pick active strikes so that there's volume. You don't want to get caught in something that has a crazy bid-ask spread. Like here, I can buy it for $89, but I can't sell it for more than 80. That's like a 10% loss out of the gate. No, thank you. Right? Even on something like AMD, it's pretty important. You can change the strikes here to however many you want to see. Like if I want to look at multiple chains at once, you can just expand them. Yeah, I want to look at them close to the money. Cool, I'll do 4. Maybe I want to look at a custom zone. Maybe only 25 options around the money, and that you can put in whatever number you want to do just manually here if it helps you navigate through the chain if you're checking out a bunch of different things. Let's see if it is working now. So this was product depth that I wanted to show you earlier, but pretty cool. So each line is a different series, option series. So remember, in the chain, each line is a series. So purple series on this left, on the left, it's showing you what that percentage is. And here is at what strike price. So I know that for whatever reason, this 120-ish call has an insane volatility. Cool, you could probably sell that, right? Same thing here. basically at around 80 bucks is the lowest volatility, somewhere between 80 and 70 on the put side. Anything higher or lower is going to be pretty elevated. And this is actually telling me that there's a very heavy skew towards the upside in what the options are pricing in, the volatility priced into the option chain. So, and then down here, this is the different series. If you want to change it, you can change just like you did on the other chain, what kind of strikes, all series you can pick. Well, I just want to compare, let's say this week and the 14th. Then I can just click on those two. Pretty cool. So what do we have? So we've got volume, open interest, delta theta. Well, we're missing something important, huh? Implied volatility. So IMPL VOL, this is implied volatility. I want to have this way out to the end. So we got volume, open interest, delta theta. If you wanted to add vega, you could. Not super important. Sometimes people like to add gamma. Let's add gamma. I don't think we've gone through gamma yet on what that means. But so now I see, okay. So remember that chart, we were just looking at this product depth. Well, farther out of the money, the higher the implied volatility or inflation is. Can we see that here? So yeah, so now I can see towards 90, it's about 45% IV or priced in volatility. And the further out I go, the higher volatility actually gets. Just a side note, Thinkorswim on the actual option chains, because AMD reported just a little bit ago, they've already updated what these Greeks are going to look like for the morning. So let's see. Let's say I wanted to set something up, and let's say tomorrow. So this thing's going to open at what, 90, 88. Let's say tomorrow I want to already have a trade on. Let's see. Maybe I want to put a new trade on. Maybe I want to do a debit spread for next week on all. Okay, so I can see now with my new settings, there was a lot of volume on these two strikes today for next week, right? So this is a 90 strike, right? And a 95 strike. So let's see. If I want to buy it, so I would right click buy, and I'm just going to model this, and we're going to jump over to the analyze tab and then hold control down. See how these little numbers pop? That's my control key going down. And then click on the ask. So now in this box here, this is the order box. I have a buying 195, selling buying 190, selling 195. Call this as a debit spread. The order default here was 10. You want to make sure it's not 10. We changed it earlier, but you could click this little drop down and change to whatever you want. Increments are editable too in the application setting, where you can go this way. But so this is telling me, okay, well, it's going to cost about 85 bucks, $5 wide spread. I'm just going to right on this blank area, right click here, click analyze, and that's boom. It's going to take me over to the analyze tab in the risk profile. So this is we were here. Now we're going over here and down to this risk profile subtab. So it automatically populates what your existing positions are here. So I want to not have that. So in this show all, I'm going to hide my current positions, and I'm just going to model this new one. So what's this default view? So this view is P&L graph, and you can click, hold, and drag this around in the middle somewhere. On this bottom bar, you can click and drag, click, hold, drag, and it expands it, moves around. These little bars represent standard deviations, so the average move that the stock typically makes. These are called price slices. First thing down here. It's pretty cool. You can put these away, but I use the crap out of these. And I'll just grab this middle bar and drag it up to give myself a little room. And this 3 bars here. So this, what we're gonna go through here, this is actually what makes Thinkorswim really useful, but you can do these are called price slices. So you can set them, and let's see, I'm gonna use 11 rows, 2%. So now boom, this is gonna tell me what my position is gonna do for every 2% that it moves. If I wanted to do something different, this is $2, $5 moves. We'll just go, let's go smaller. 8 rows, 2% change. Right now it's costing me 84 cents. This little lock bar, if you're trying to analyze live, you might want to actually unlock it so that this changes when the prices actually changes. Otherwise, the default is locked. And if you like the order, by the time you come back in, it might not be that price anymore. But this tells you right away what's your delta, what's your theta on this position at what price level. And then and this is how much you would make if this was today. If I want to move it forward in time, the next day. So let's say we hold this till Friday, right? Let's say we went out to May 4th. These are May 5th expirations. So this is actually going to tell me right away, okay, unless the stock is over, I can actually edit this too, $89. If the stock goes up $1, I'm going to make $1. Well, you may not want to do that, but you can actually model everything here. And then if you want to click on these boxes, open, it'll actually simulated price. This is what your net total would actually look like, how much you would make, what the position would be worth right here. Kind of cool stuff. So if you're trying to do some of the trades that we're doing also, by the way, and you're just using this analyzer, let's say we want to do, and I can edit this right here too. So let's say I want to edit, I'm going to sell, let's say I do a May. This is defaulting to vertical. I'm going to change this to custom, and I'm going to tinker really quick. Let's say I want to do $100. So you can just go through here and change them. Unlock. So, okay, well, this is telling me $100 call calendar for these 2 dates is going to be trading for $11. That's dirt cheap. It's got, okay, positive theta over if it goes up, negative if it goes down, very small delta. And I can move this back forward. But if you're trying to follow along, we actually use, when we're modeling our trades for the group, this little gear here. And see that all of a sudden this has volatility adjustment, stock price adjustment. So this is what makes Thinkorswim really good. But if you're trying to see what our graphs look like, you just won't be able to really, because we're doing a pretty heavy calculation to do an actual manual volatility adjustment. So let's say if I think that front volatility is going to go down 15%, that completely changes this P&L graph, right? Everything's changed here. So my P&L has changed. This is how we get to do the trades that we can do, the ones that we send in the alerts, but it's because we're actually doing a pretty heavy calculation on what the volatility is going to be after earnings. But yeah, there is no other platform that lets you do this right here. So this is specifically what makes Thinkorswim so cool for option traders. And I think this is all pretty basic. Yeah, just being able to click on customize, switch around all your stuff. Let's say I want to add this to my order, right click, create duplicate order, and then boom, I'm sending an order in right now. You want to confirm and send what account. If you want to do multiple accounts, you can actually select multiple at once, or just one, right? So let's say you send one. Great. Paper. paper account. If I want to do a duplicate, you can create duplicate or analyze. Are we in the analyzer? Yeah. If I just want to do another one, analyze trade, I can stack them, right click, delete, delete. If I want to add a leg, I just click add, takes me here, click on something, back to profile. Cool. I include it, not include it. This is the analyzer, but again, $0 line, not making any money. And what the blue line here is at expiration. See how it shows you the dates in that corner? And you can just kind of go along. It'll tell you how much money you're going to make at what date. I won't go into this, but sometimes this is good. If you want to have, okay, this is going to show me 4 days. Let me go back to today. You can do how many days do you want to have? 1 day, 2 day, 3 days out in the future. Let's get all screwy. Anyways, that's this. Cool. So price slices, customize here. If you want to add slices manually, you can click this plus button. Right click to delete them. But let's say, okay, so tomorrow, so back on this monitor tab, we have this debit spread or this calendar spread. Let's say that AMD opens up tomorrow at 95 bucks and I need to do something with this. So in my mind, okay, well, maybe I want to roll this short strike up and out to a different strike that doesn't give me any exposure of being assigned since we're short a call. So I'd actually this is rolling position. So I'd actually, through the monitor tab, right click, and actually I'm just gonna buy, right? So this loads me up with buying the first short call back. I'm just gonna adjust this. So basically it's just buying this back. If you don't want to do it through the monitor tab, that's fine. You could just go into the option chain, find your order here, click buy. I got 10, right? So we'll change buy 10 and I want to roll something. So I want to buy this back and sell something similar. Okay, cool. So this is a $90 call that I'm short. Maybe I'm going to hold control down and I'm going to go ahead and do this 95 strike here. Maybe I'll do, you know what, maybe I'll do this one really quick. I'm just going to go, not this one, but the one in front. And I'm just going to hold control down, click on this bid here. See how that added that strike? So now I'm buying back 10 of my short 90s and I'm selling 10 of the 95s for May 7th. So it's giving us an extra week. Let's say I want to analyze this and I'm going to include my positions now. So now this is the current position. We were short these 10. We're buying them back here and then we're selling another 10, higher strike, more time. And now I can see what that new position, delta and theta, is actually going to look like here. And I can move forward in time. Well, okay, so by buying that, it's going to cost me 31 bucks. Maybe I don't want to buy that one. Maybe we're long the 14s. Maybe I go here. And I can, again, remember, just change the date right in here and start analyzing everything. So this, if I sold the 95s for May 14th, would give me a debit spread. That's going to be close to free, $4 per. I would probably do that if I was in a lot of trouble, but I wanted to get a higher upside. It's going to cost me a little bit of theta, but Remember, we reset those. I'll just reset this again. Okay. So what I could make, if AMD goes to 95, I could make an extra $1,700 on these dates. So maybe I do that, but that's how I'd roll it. And then if I want to go ahead and do it, create duplicate order. It's already primed, send it. Cool. So that's option one. I'm going to go through a couple different orders. Let's say you want to leg out of something and you buy this back, and now you just have this. So we bought, so let's say we buy 10 to close it. This is gone. And I just have these here. So one other thing you can do, different types of orders. So when you first go to put an order in, and let's say I just have these 10, this is the box that pops up, and the default is limit day, right? Let's say I'm legging out and I don't have time to look at it. I would actually do like trailing stop, and that's right here. You click this, and this drop down box, trailing stop here, and there's a couple other things that pop up. First of all, what's my time of force? Maybe I want to have a good till cancel, and maybe I don't want to have it based on a dollar amount, but I can click this here and change it to a percentage. So let's say I want to do, if it drops 15% at any point in time, forever, as long as this position is open, go ahead and sell it then. This will default at a market order. Something like AMD is probably okay, but here's one thing that you should know. It's at the mark. The mark is actually not what you want. You'd actually change this to the ask. So the ask is here. So that's saying when this changes down 15%, not the in-between price. Mark is just the 2. So I would keep this 15%, trailing stop, good till cancel. And this is, I'd send it. That's me legging out of a position, keeping it going. I would do something like this if I wanted to, catch a quick run as something's going. If you're day trading, this is actually cool. A lot of people day trade in the group. I do sometimes, and if you right click on these, there's a bunch of different options to buy. So this is probably a more advanced thing, but if you buy custom, you actually buy with these brackets. OCO is if it goes above a certain price, take profit. It's automated, taking profit if you get $100, and this is saying, okay, well, if it drops down to 60, it's automatically going to sell. You can actually just right click, send the order, boom, and it defaults this way. But maybe I don't want to take profit. Maybe I want to buy it with a stop. See this? Boom. And then I want to buy it with a trailing stop at the ask. And we're going to use that 15%. And we'll do good till cancel. I want to make sure that both of these are good till cancel. You can click this little link here to change it and send that. If I want to make this a template, you can actually click this little box here, and then, let's call it trailing stop. Oops. Trailing 15, save. Now I've saved it as a template. If I right click, buy custom, boom, there's my template. It's always gonna buy with a 15% trailing stop. Pretty cool. And there's a couple other things I wanted to do. Does anybody have any stuff that I haven't gone over that you guys want to see for sure? Cool. I think we mostly went through everything. One thing too, a lot of people have said, oh, I can't buy after hours in Thinkorswim. So this is for stock. You can actually change this. This little drop down here is for extended hours. Now you're buying in extended hours. That's all you have to do. I'll just do one last one. Let's say I did have this order in you know what, tomorrow, let's say I want to leg out of this for sure, no matter what is going on. So I could actually, here, you know what, since we have this order, this is actually how I would do this. So we have this order in now. Tomorrow, I want to take profit at 125. I want two of these to take profit 125. What I do is I actually click this little gear here. It's really small, but you can't. So if you click this gear here, there's a lot of really cool settings that pop up, and it tells when is it going to submit. So I might do tomorrow morning. I'll give it a little bit. Let's say at 8:30, I want to submit an order to take profit at 125 for two of them. You can send that, and that's now resting here. And we have 10, right? So I need to close 10. So I'm gonna just do reverse orders. So I'll do another 2 at 150. I'll just send that now. Cool. And then we have, so that is, so now I can see I have 4 orders for taking profit there. And let's say I want to take another round at 175, limit, good, don't cancel, and we'll just do the rest. Cool. 175. Send. So now I have 10 existing positions, and if I click on these little buttons, it shows me I have 2, 4, 6 orders to closing 10 positions in 3 different orders, and you could just have them sitting there, ready to go on. Well, they're sitting there working for you. In the monitor tab, you can see working orders here. This is where they are. You see what did you buy or sell today. And if I want to change something, I can either do it through here, cancel, replace. Maybe I want to do 4. Send it. Cool. So it canceled my 6. And now it's a 4. I can see that in the trade tab also. So I have 4, 6, 8 to take profit, and then 2 to manage manually. I think that is the most important stuff in Thinkorswim. So quick review. So monitor tab, we've changed some of this stuff. Oh, look at this. It didn't save. If it doesn't save your settings, if you go back to applications or settings, startup. Well, yeah, this is a paper account, but you would just have last used, and it should save everything that you do. All right, guys. For the most part, that's it. If you have any other questions, you can always DM or just send it in the main chat, and we can kind of walk through anything else later. This is just the first one. We'll probably do this again a couple. Oh, that's right. I didn't have it on both accounts. We'll probably walk through some of this stuff again later. This is the monitor tab. We went through trade tab, a little bit of analyzer, and we can go through charts and stuff on another one. But all right, guys, that is it for today. Have a good one.